Hi, I'm Jenny Skiffington.
And I'm Laura Brunkala.
And this is ProPicks.
So, welcome back for episode 2, you guys. We are super excited because we watched something crazy.
Caddo Lake.
Yeah, so Caddo Lake is definitely a mystery.
Ooh, yes, it's eerie, moody, mystery.
Suspense.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely has some of those psychological elements in it, and it's one of those, like, I don't want to call it a whodunit. It's more like a who happened.
Or how is this happening? To give you a little bit of insight, it was produced by M. Night Shyamalan. And
his production company.
A fan of his work and the kind of twisty turns that his stories usually have, you will probably enjoy Caddo Lake.
Expect the unexpected.
Mm-hmm. Expect the unexpected. Yes.
Okay, so we're doing the thing that we always do with you guys. We're going to do some comps. And comps are comparable titles, be it movies, TV shows, things similar in tone and in, I guess, performance and thematic aspects that if you like these, you will probably like Caddo Lake.
Yes.
So, Jenny, kick us off.
So one that came to mind for both of us was The Fog and The Mist, if you've seen those. Very eerie,
spooky,
moody, atmospheric thrillers. Also really rely a lot on a location and place, and there's like roots.
That mystery. What's gonna happen?
And definitely that moody vibe. And also the movie Frequency. I don't know, this is a favorite of mine from the late 90s. I think it's 99 or 2000. And a guy from my hometown, Jim Caviezel, was in it, so we all loved it. But if you love Frequency, I think you would really like Caddo Lake.
Yeah, there's definitely that kind of... This does have some supernatural elements. This is what sets us apart from Mother's Instinct, which doesn't really have that going on. Mother's Instinct is a grounded, set in reality, narrative film. And this explores a little bit more of the paranormal,
mythological. Yes,
there's a little something in the air.
I definitely love a good mystery that has supernatural elements. So.
And early on in the movie, we have this very strange, very strange, like crocodile scene.
Oh yes,
and some kids,
some foreshadowing.
Poking a split in half crocodile. Because of the setting and that bayou and the kind of like a little bit of edginess to it, we both kind of thought Lake Placid.
Is this going to be like a Lake Placid movie? I love Lake Placid. That is a fun movie.
Yeah.
I'm definitely afraid of crocodiles, so.
If you like The Skeleton Key.
Ooh, that's a good call.
Yes. Those kind of same... brain games that happen, the psychological...
And the roots of history meeting the present day.
Yes.
Yes,
a lot
that's a great
doorway themes here.
Yes.
So if you like caddo and suspenseful, mysterious, you will like Caddo Lake. Yeah. You usually can't even dream up things that are by M. Night. So this, interestingly, is... directed and written by, the screenplay is by a pair of writer-directors. It's a duo.
Very cool. Yeah, Logan George and Celine Held.
And I don't know, that's always interesting. What do you think about that? Like, what?
Co-writing, co-directing. Yeah. Well, in some ways, I guess you get multiple eyes on the same project, and so two heads are better than one. As long as there's not too many cooks in the kitchen, and you work together really well. I could see it being a positive experience.
You have to really trust if you're directing and creating
with someone. The Coen brothers, they've directed and written together, or also. The guys who did Everything Everywhere All at Once, they work together as a team. So there's a handful over the years that have worked really well.
And I think some projects call for it, and this one is a complicated story, and it's one of those ones where you just picture them trying to map it all out before even writing it, and oh my gosh, what a process that might be.
Keeping track of timelines and things that are happening within the story and the plot structure could be tricky with this one.
So Caddo Lake was shot in Shreveport, Louisiana, and oh man, does it feel like it.
That atmosphere, the bayou and the swamp.
That's you said bayou from like the beginning when we turned it on, and I was like, it is the bayou.
They're out on like crocodiles and the swamp.
Oh yeah, it has that like kind of like a lost land feel where there's, you know, when you're in a bayou area like that and you have that kind of heat and humidity, you get that cool fog and steam, and I think that's one of our comps, the fog and the mist.
Yeah, it's moody and eerie in its own right, just as a place.
Yeah, it is, and it's beautifully shot. We do have some like cool drone shots in this, and we get these really cool establishing shots.
The location, the atmosphere almost feels like a character itself, and I love movies like that. And then the cast, amazing cast.
Oh my gosh! Okay, let's just start with Dylan O'Brien. What like a gush for us?
So cute.
So cute. So like great for this part because he
really does bring a lot.
He's so real. One of the things I love about this movie and the acting is that it feels very real and very grounded. Lauren Ambrose plays Celeste, who's the counter to Dylan O'Brien, who plays Paris. And the chemistry between them is very palpable and it feels very natural. So you have the kind of late 20s, early 30s characters. There's Dylan O'Brien playing Paris and Lauren Ambrose playing Celeste. And then we have like a little bit of a younger element on this. We have some kids mixed in.
Yeah, some teens and kids.
Yeah, we have Eliza Scanlen playing Ellie and an even younger sibling. I guess she's around 7, 8 years old maybe. We have Caroline Falk playing Anna. And it's cool to see this kid element, and we see Ellie and Anna interacting very early in a boat in the movie, and gosh, their relationship feels so natural.
Very sweet and natural.
Yes. The acting is beautifully done in this film all around by everyone who's in it, but especially the chemistry between
the sisters.
Is very believable.
That loose tooth scene.
We watched it like 3 times.
We watched that like so many times.
There's a little sibling. You know, Ellie does a lot of guiding of Anna in this movie, and we see a lot of
parenting her in a way.
Yes, because this is we're talking about a mixed family. We have Anna's dad marrying Ellie's mom. So, of course, we have some family tension too. Eric Lang plays Anna's dad.
Eric Lang, who, fun fact, my very first credit that I got my SAG card was an episode of Monk where I play an alien called Mr. Monk and the UFO, and Eric Lang was on that episode.
Eric and Jenny are connected. Getting that SAG card is a big deal out here, by the way.
It has been really cool to see his career like progress over the years.
Yeah, going from
and he was awesome in this.
He was great and had a very large and important part. And one of the things we talk about with Daniel, who was Eric's character, is his want so badly to connect to Ellie, who is pretty much blatantly rejecting that love.
Yes, he so badly is trying to connect and trying to be there for her, and she's just really into this idea of her biological dad still being out there.
Still being around and maybe coming home, and you save space. We hold space for people. This is the hope aspect, the hope, yes, that keeps us holding space. And maybe inadvertently and unintentionally keeps other people out and away from our lives. And we see a lot of people pushing and pulling here.
Misunderstanding each other. A lot of love with a lot of misunderstanding, where it's like, oh, if you could see each other's perspective, you would all just love each other.
Yes, and like even with Paris and Celeste, there's this want for something where he is kind of this bayou boy and she's in the bigger world going out into the city, and there's still this almost, it's not a missed connection, it's like a would-be connection, a star-crossed kind of...
You wish it could have been something.
And when you go back home, we fall into our previous lives in a way, especially spending significant time there. And this film does open up on loss within the family, which brings home Celeste and reunites Paris and Celeste to have this kind of what could have been moment.
Yeah, a little bit
beautifully done.
Almost catharsis, almost like not quite catharsis, kind of catharsis. I don't know. You gotta watch the movie. I don't want to spoil it.
And then talking about genre and thematic elements, which we're already kind of touching on, we're definitely going for psychological thriller, mystery, suspense,
adventure elements to
a life maybe lost. A lot of themes of loss in this one too. This is our second week where we're kind of covering
regrets,
loss, grief.
A lot of thrillers actually do tap into grief and loss.
And I think part of the reason for that is because with grief and loss comes a sense of haunting, and whether or not it's a physical and real and actualized haunting or ethereal, mental.
Right, loss of over what could have been or what might have been.
Yes. And I do think there are themes of hope in this and staying hopeful and staying positive.
Definitely also has some family drama elements to it.
Yes.
There's definitely like a lot of familial tensions.
And history, looking into roots, not just in the family unit, but in the space and the area itself. You look at the history of a place and how, especially a climate like the Bayou evolves.
Right.
Like wildlife and with structures and kind of this sense of time and like timelessness in a way.
Yes.
This place that's so familiar that sometimes there's things that happen throughout this story chronologically when maybe you can't, there's no difference between time periods that are 20 or 30 years apart. So you're looking at the same bayou, largely unchanged.
Timeless element to a lot of the storytelling. I guess that's all I'll say, timeless.
We get a nice slow roll intro where we really get some rich character set up in the beginning.
Right.
We get the feel of the family and we see these very natural relationships being played out on screen thanks to Logan and Celine's directing. I feel like we see some very real relationships early.
Do appreciate the pacing and the time that they took to develop the characters. A lot of film and TV now, they just kind of like throw things at you and they don't take the time to develop these relationships. I really appreciated all of the development that we got to see.
And then once you're off to the races on this one, you are flying. You are just on that journey and things start happening very quickly.
Yes.
Which I think is where this co-writing is necessary because we get thrown right into this chaotic development of a storyline that you are just slinging pieces together. Yeah.
Definitely.
So it's a fun ride. And I do think you guys will enjoy it if you enjoy our comps.
Yes.
Yeah. If you don't mind being a little on the edge of your seat for a while and getting the slow roll in and then taking the roller coaster to the end. It's that climb up the hill
right,
for
and
the
woo down the slide. Yeah, great movie, Caddo Lake.
And now we have an interview for you guys with an actor from Caddo Lake.
Thanks for joining us. I guess Baby's going to guest star here. Maybe I can clock us this way. There we go.
And we just watched Caddo Lake, which is so much fun. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Twisty, turny, mysterious, eerie.
Talk about, huh?
Yeah. Well, I guess we should start with why don't you tell us about yourself and how you became an actor, where you're from, all that good stuff.
Okay. Well, I was born and raised South Louisiana. So technically Cajun, but not technically. Maldonado is South American. That's where my dad's family's from. So I grew up there. My Cajun accent that's the only one I can do perfect.
Fantastic.
Though I've lost it over the years, but I can slip back in pretty easily. And I was an artist growing up. I was always drawing. So I figured that's what I was going to do as a job when I grew up. I was either going to do that or an architect for some reason, if you could draw. And I was in my head, I was going to be an architect. So then when I got to college, I figured out that you need to be really good with the computer if you're going to make money as an artist. And I was like, I was going to be a commercial artist because that's what artists do if they want to work. That didn't work out too good because I'm not very tech savvy at all. Thankfully, my wife is.
So you were interested in architecture and art, and then how did it transition into acting?
Well, I kind of did it for fun in high school. My wife and I were both in the high school musical, Seven Brides for Seven Brothers.
Oh my God!
And
amazing.
Yeah, and we were a couple in that.
Wait, that
and
is adorable.
yeah,
Pretty cute.
and it
It's a
was
pretty cute story.
dabbled through that but I had a lot of fun doing it, and I figured, well, I'm kind of good at this, but I was much more practical. Like, oh, I was in South Louisiana, and the film industry in Louisiana wasn't what it is now. So I was like, well, that's not really. I'll do theater here and there, and then I just kind of got the bug in college, and after the art major kind of fell off, I was like, well, maybe I can try to do theater, and I took all the acting classes I could possibly take and auditioned for every community theater I could get my hands on. I was doing back-to-back shows. And my wife at that point got a job in Houston, and there was a pretty decent theater industry in Houston. So I was like, well, I'll start there. I'll try to get on the theaters, and at the same time doing student films and indie films, and did a lot of theater while I was here. We live in Houston now. We've been here about 20 years, and so yeah, kind of moved into getting an agent, and working on smaller movies, indie movies, and kind of getting to know casting directors over the years. And yeah, that's what I've been doing for the last 20 years. Is it's kind of been a slow kind of build.
Awesome. So theater and then TV and film. I was looking at your IMDb. There's some projects that I love that you've been a part of, like True Detective.
We both loved True Detective.
Loved True Detective. And then also Love and Death, I thought was so good. Okay, so Caddo Lake, though. So how did this project come to you? How did you get involved in this project, and what was it?
Yeah, my agent sent me the audition, and I knew, everybody was like, oh, M. Night Shyamalan's connected to it, so everybody's and the budget wasn't that big or anything like that, and I was like on the fence. I'm like, well, should I do it? Because some of the accommodations, I didn't know what they were going to include, and like, well, it's M. Night Shyamalan, just do it. I'm like, okay,
yeah, you gotta just do it when it's M. Night. You're like, oh my gosh, yeah, definitely.
So that was a good idea. That was a good decision.
Yes.
And yeah, just went to Shreveport and I put a tape together, and then they had a call back in Shreveport, and yeah,
I bet you were thrilled that it was like Louisiana, like Bayou vibes. That's like your roots.
Yeah.
That's so fun to work in the world that
Right. Yeah. And I work in New Orleans quite a bit, but this was like out in the middle of nowhere, really beautiful. Caddo Lake is really pretty. It was very, very hot and sticky, but the scenery was amazing, and the story was really good. All the dialogue and everything. And I had worked with Dylan O'Brien before on Deepwater Horizon.
I was gonna ask if you worked with him before, because I thought I saw Deepwater on there, and I was like, wait, I think there's a crossover.
So we got to know each other pretty well, and got to be friends. And when I saw he was in this, I was like, well, there's my in. It's like,
yes,
just tell Dylan. So when I saw him on set, that was, he's like, what's going on? And I was like, yeah. It was exciting. It was fun. To reconnect with him.
It's the best to work with friends and like people that you already know and respect and like.
He's funny.
In this one, there was a lot of layers and like roots, speaking of, and also the location, like you're saying, it felt like the atmosphere, like it was its own, like a character, like the actual location feels like
absolutely.
Yeah.
So fun to watch. Yeah.
It must have been interesting to be in that environment, because it does set this tone that is appropriate for eerie vibes.
Eerie adventure, mystery.
So I have to ask you, because this story is the way it is, and there were a couple rewind moments for me. Your first read through, did you understand the whole script, or did you have to read it like a couple times?
No. I was very confused. I mean, my reading comprehension isn't that great either anyway, but I read it through it, and I was like what's going on? And so I was pretty confused. I kind of got the gist of it, and kind of got more familiar, and got some answers. But we went to the screening, my wife and I, in New York, and there was a talk back with M. Night and a couple of the cast, and I got to talk to M. Night afterwards with my wife, and she picks up on those things a little bit easier as far as plot and I told him straight up, I was like, yeah, I didn't know what the hell was going on when I first read it. I was like, I really didn't understand what was happening.
Awesome. Wait, so what's next for you? Do you have anything coming up that you can talk about?
I saw on your IG you had a couple in production.
Yeah, I got a couple coming up. I worked with just finished a movie in New Orleans with Ryan Coogler and Michael B. Jordan.
Ooh,
so yeah,
talent.
Yeah, so Ryan Coogler, he directed the Creeds. That one there's some supernatural stuff. It's called Sinners.
We're gonna have to watch it when it comes
out. And I was trying to keep a lot of this. I was trying to keep a lot of the things under wraps, and then all the stuff started coming out. I'm like, well,
here it comes.
Yeah, it's like they weren't able to keep because he plays a twin, Michael B. Jordan.
Oh, cool!
Which was
That's
super. Cool. Yeah, it's gonna be cool. It was very complicated to shoot, but that was a really cool experience. The two of them also just got there. I think they're just finishing up a series called His and Hers that was shooting in Atlanta.
Cool!
And I played the sheriff in that one. That's with John Bernthal.
We noticed you play a lot of law enforcement.
Yes.
Yeah. Did you anticipate that as being your type, like when you started, or was that something like you booked one sheriff role and then all of a sudden, like you were sheriff for everything?
I mean, that's kind of how it happened. The first, role I ever got on TV was a bailiff, like a security guard in a movie in Prison Break.
Oh, cool! Yeah. That's fun.
So law enforcement from the beginning, and the first big movie I ever got was a movie called Trespass with Nicolas Cage and Ben Mendelsohn, and I play a security guard in that, and it's kind of stayed that consistency throughout. So I'm not complaining. I'll
Do you like it? Do you like playing the sheriff? Because that's kind of the fun part. And it can be so different. Like if you're a good sheriff or a bad sheriff,
right?
If you're working with people or against, like I do feel like law enforcement parts can be very layered and like kind of fun to play around with and toy with. So
Sure.
Sometimes you're the villain, sometimes you're the villain.
I play a lot of bad cops, So I really enjoy it. The only thing I don't like about it is wardrobe, props mainly. I mean, we have to wear all the stuff all the time.
The taser and the
and if it's authentic, you got to have all that stuff on there.
Yeah.
So every time I put it on, I'm like, man, I just want to play a PE coach and I just want to wear sweats to work every day.
Yeah, right.
That was another question we have for you is, what is your dream role? Like, what is the dream role for you?
Well, I thought about it, and I think I've always wanted to play a Jedi. I've always said that if I could just walk into a scene and take the hood off of that cloak and kind of light the lightsaber, I can be done. I can just.
So that's retirement.
So Jedi is the dream.
Even if it's one line, just coming in and saying,
I mean,
somebody's here to see you, and just leave.
Do you have any great stories about your time at Caddo Lake? Like, is there something you really loved, or a day you really loved, or I know you said you really enjoyed working with Dylan again, but any other?
Yeah, that was cool. I mean, I think working with M. Night he directed a little bit here and there. So working with him directly was surreal and incredible. So I think my favorite part was working with him and then going to meet him at the screening and just seeing how down to earth and cool he is, and just somebody with that kind of mind and kind of visionary director that's kind of be down to earth and just have a normal conversation and talk about what you didn't like about the movie and talk about what blew you away, what you don't remember, what you don't get, And he's like, no, I get that, you know? So that was
Did
cool.
you work with Celine and Logan? I know they're like the directing duo,
Yes,
right?
they wrote it. Now, yeah, they're super enthusiastic and very, very talented. One of the reasons why I chose to kind of be involved with it is I had seen their other work, you know, and
okay.
yeah. So if you see their stuff, and I'm like, okay, you know, it's got this, it's got that. They're great filmmakers and great writers. So yeah, it was different. Yeah, and it was interesting. That's the first time I'd ever done that before. I worked with a team. So you know, one would come in and kind of like, well, let's talk about this and this, and it was kind of a tag team thing. Like, okay, let's try it the other way, and so you know, it was a lot of balls in the air to try to kind of juggle, but yeah, it was great. Yeah, that's the great part about that role is, you know, the sheriff didn't really understand what was going on either.
Right.
You know? So,
you did not talk. You were.
He's just trying to get to the bottom of what's happening, why you know, who's missing and where are they? Let's search for. But all the other supernatural aspects of it, he's like, I don't know.
He's like, I don't know. Yeah, no, that's great. That's great.
Well, we love hearing that, you know, people we love seeing on screen are working. So congratulations and keep us posted. And when you have new stuff, let us know too, because we're just thrilled for you.
Absolutely.
So
yeah, will do. Thanks so much, guys.
okay, thanks for chatting. Appreciate you. Have a great day.
We hope you enjoyed the interview, and thank you so much for joining us on this episode about Caddo Lake.
Week 2, woohoo! We're so happy to have you guys. Don't forget to like our Instagram at ProPicks Pod and follow us on our little channel here. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button down there, wherever it is. And we really appreciate everybody, your support and just watching the show. And we hope that you guys, some of you have watched our first rack and that you dive into this one. If you love paranormal, you love suspense thriller,
supernatural, fun, adventure. Yes.
Yeah, and then next week we'll do a TV show for you guys. We're going to change it up and do some TV too. You'll get all kinds of formats with us here. So tune in next week for week 3. And I am Laura Brunkala.
And I'm Jenny Skiffington.
And this is ProPicks.